and welcome to this edition of the Boob Tube Buddies podcast, featuring our discussion of the HBO show Westworld, episode 8, entitled Trace Decay. My name is Foxman, and I'm joined by the Maze to my Minotaur. What's going on, Mothman?
Not a whole lot. I like that the maze is a Westworld reference, but Minotaur is not. It's, historical.
Oh, just you wait, my friend. I'm tying all this shit in by the end.
Yeah.
You know it, man.
I mean, we do basically have that giant Minotaur boss fight later.
Damn it.
Right.
A couple of quick bits of information. You can check out all of our content at www.boobtubebuddies.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and Reddit, or email us at boobtubebuddies@gmail.com. And we will make sure to get all your questions and theories on air. As Mothman pointed out, last episode, we'll probably interview you for it.
Yeah, right? Why wouldn't we?
You want to give a quick rundown before we get started of the other shows that we're currently running and just having wrapped?
Want's a strong word, but I know it's probably best for the business.
Oh my god.
So immediately after this, we're going to be doing Walking Dead. Obviously, you're listening to this show, so keep on listening. We just finished, the Boob Tube Buddies just finished American Horror Story. Roanoke, which I heard good things about. I haven't seen the series in a while, but it sounds like this one's pretty universally liked. We also have Luke Cage, which we'll finish off tomorrow. So if you haven't given Luke Cage a shot, or you've been eagerly awaiting, you can just binge watch or binge listen to that. And then Ash vs. Evil Dead, we are halfway through. And Divorce is, how many episodes? Is it going to be 10?
Yeah, I think that there's like 3 left. I think there's 3 left.
Yeah, because 7 we put up this morning. And then future shows this week, Gilmore Girls is going to start by the Boob Tube Buddies. I believe you and Bethany are going to be doing Black Mirror as well.
Yes, that's not going to be till after Divorce ends. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, I'm going to have to give it a shot. I've been hearing good things for so long, but it's hard to keep up with everything great out there. And then, I don't know, we'll have to figure out what next, but I think we're both going to try to find time to see Fantastic Beasts maybe this weekend, so we can do that next week.
Yeah, and probably Rogue One and things like that, because December's a really crappy TV month, but we're going to do our best to make sure that we still are putting out content. I mean, what other podcast is putting out 5-6 episodes on Thanksgiving week,
Yeah, I guess ones that value their families more.
That's pretty good. And a real quick thing I wanted to... Okay, so one of the things when you've been podcasting for, 4 months, I guess we've been doing, I still love to go through and comb through the stats and just look at just the random stuff. Like, we can see, for example, the cities and countries that have listened most either within a week period or, overall. And generally speaking, obviously, the United States tops the list significantly so. United Kingdom and also Canada do very well. Well, man, we have a real up-and-comer this last week. We had and I'm not even exaggerating, a huge swell coming from Senegal, who actually surpassed both the United Kingdom and Canada in our views for like the last 7 to 10 days. And you can actually see the city is Dakar. And just to make sure that I had the pronunciation right, I went online to listen to one of those things where they do it. And I thought it was really funny the way they pronounce it. So here, let me cue it up real quick.
Okay.
Can you hear that?
It's a jackass?
Dakar.
Dakar. Yeah. It's almost as if James Hetfield from Metallica singing Dick. Dicka.
Except for it's so
a feeble
soft.
Old band.
Dicka.
Yeah.
Dicka.
I will say, if you legitimately are a listener from Senegal, I don't know, hit us up, because I see stuff like that and it's interesting, but I also am almost completely convinced it's just random bots that are VPNing from different countries so they don't get shut down or something. But
I feel like it's like a Senegalian. Is that the word, Senegalian? I feel like it's like a real hipster person from Senegal that really likes to comb for, that's what I imagine in my head, really likes to comb for, kind of underground sounds sort of thing.
That are not in their native tongue.
Yeah, definitely. And kind of not their native tongue. I don't know what they speak in Senegal. I want to say French, but I'm sure that I'm sure that I'm completely misinformed on that.
I'm sure you've seen this on the news, but there's been like a million stories about, and some of them are exaggerated, but the implication of fake news on Facebook in the election.
Of course, yeah.
And like on both sides, it's just outright lies, like,
oh yeah,
Hillary Clinton killed this person, and like Donald Trump, secretly slaughters babies, just insane things.
Yeah.
But I guess it came out that most of it was from Macedonian teens. So like the majority of these sites were just basically clickbait made like to make ad marketing, which they now shut down the profitable part of it, but it was all just teens in Macedonia and bots and stuff doing that.
That is really funny. So to all our peeps in Macedonia, and seriously though, Senegal, thank you very much for listening. Like that, I mean, honestly, that brought a smile to my face. Like I looked through, and there are tons of countries, English speaking countries though, generally speaking, that are that I'm like, wow, that's kind of random. But right? Senegal, like, and the amount of listens, Jesus, like that it's just cool. I thought that was awesome.
And I will say, although I'm not convinced they are anything but bots, as this show has shown us, they have a decent range of emotions that actually brings us to our first scene. So I'm not going to rule them out as real fans.
That's true. There's really not a whole lot that separates us. But real quick before we get into it.
Dakar.
Okay, let's jump into the episode.
Yeah. So last episode, we got the crazy, oh my fucking god ending where Bernard is 100% a host, which, we talked about the BernArnold theory and kind of thought that was at least a piece of the puzzle. And it picks up right after that. But like Bernard's back online, Ford basically turns him back on, and he is having a, very human reaction to the death of Teresa.
Yeah. What did you think about the acting right here?
I thought it was good.
I thought it was really good too. He's like panicking about it as it happens, and Ford's like, "You killed her because I told you to," and then
because he says like, "Oh my God," or something like that. And he's like, "God had nothing to do with it."
God had nothing to do with it. Oh man, he's so sinister.
Yeah, because I love that he goes, "God had nothing to do with it. You killed her because I told you to." Basically saying, "I'm God." Right? Like he's like, I'm God,
Yeah.
So
which is basically that mirrors what he told Teresa when they were looking out on the vineyard or whatever that was.
Yeah, as if Jesus, listen to the threat next time. It was pretty clear.
He did lay it out, and I mean, basically did like the ultimate PowerPoint presentation for it.
Yeah,
I was PowerPoint.
No. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's right. We did talk about PowerPoint. We will talk about later how he, explains that PowerPoint was bullshit all along.
Yeah, that is true. I really liked though that he kind of lets loose here that he created Bernard to help him give the host heart, like more than just the really cookie cutter basic emotions. Like he linked them all together, like shaded in the areas in between, and that was pretty cool. But my favorite line from this whole scene was when he says, "One woman's death is but a small price to pay for the acquirement of the knowledge in which I sought, for the dominion I should acquire," which is from Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Yeah, pretty cool literary reference, and one of the rare ones that I actually picked up without having to scroll through Reddit.
That's true, which isn't that called the modern Prometheus?
What do you mean?
Isn't that like the real title of it or something like that?
Not that I'm aware of. At the very least, not in my great illustrated classics one that I had when I was like 14, and I honestly still own.
I don't know why that. I don't know. We'll check it later. But maybe it was the short story. Modern Prometheus has something to do with Frankenstein, Mary Shelley's version. Maybe it was like her short story or working title.
Oh yeah. No, you're thinking of the Aliens prequel.
Yeah, that's right. I'm definitely thinking of that.
Anyway. So Ford says, you know what? I think I know how you got the connection, because you were thinking Westworld, flaccid penises. What's the character who played Magneto? He was in that movie Shame. You see his flaccid penis in it. And then, he was the robot in Prometheus. And I think that's how you did it. Jeff Goldblum style.
Almost. You actually missed a pretty good connection there, because if we're connecting it to Frankenstein, there's a movie called Gods and Monsters that's starring Ian McKellen, and he actually plays Frank Whale, the director of the original Frankenstein movie from 1931.
First off, I was not talking about Ian McKellen's
You said Magneto.
Flaccid penis. I was talking about young Magneto.
Oh, Michael Fassbender?
Yeah, Michael Fassbender.
Michael Flaccid Penis Bender?
Oh, God, stop it. It's called a lilt. Thank you very much. Okay, so Ford basically is controlling the whole scene here because Bernard goes to attack him, but obviously, like, shuts him down. He's like, Arnold couldn't stop him either. And it was pretty interesting because basically he forces Bernard to go and scrub all the information from Teresa's console. He incinerates some of the physical information, and he essentially tells him like he'll free him from these memories after he's done so.
Yeah, so it's just very weird because he's obviously having this very human experience, yet Ford can kind of control it. And I don't know, you start to almost empathize and put yourself in you can't really, it's impossible, but try to put yourself in Bernard's shoes. Is it simply the behavior that Ford is turning off? Turn off the outward appearance of emotion, but as Bernard, as long as he's on, truly feeling these things until, of course, the erase actually happens. It's kind of an interesting thing to struggle with.
You don't know if maybe if the emotions are still simmering below the surface there, or if he's just been turned into totally cold, calculated, analytical bot version of himself. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and you think about the analytics with or the attributes, for Maeve, and you're like, is he basically just saying like turn everything down to what it needs to get this job done? In which case, all those things do shut down.
Minus the sensuality.
Yeah, minus the sensuality.
Do you check out that bod? Girl, look at that body.
Just look at that body. My dog's nickname is Buddha because he has a fat Buddha belly. And
I thought that was his actual name.
No, his name's Bowie after David Bowie.
I guess I did
with
that too.
The one eye and because he has the black eye. By the way, Modern Prometheus is the name. I confirmed it. But anyway, long story short, I regularly say, "Look at that Buddha. Look at that Buddha. Look at that Buddha. It'd work out." Anyway, so now Stubbs.
Cool story, bro.
Yeah, great story. You said that almost like a robot. So Stubbs is looking at Teresa's dead body with Ford.
We were clearly wrong about her being synthesized on the table as she's being killed. Because what's the point if it's common knowledge around Mesa that she has been killed? So moving on from that was our theory, and honestly a pretty widely accepted one after the last episode.
Yeah,
I think because we get the flashback where Bernard recalls strangling Elsie briefly.
Elsie's coming back.
That might, like, if Elsie comes back, I'm going to be pretty suspicious that was her being synthesized on that table.
Yeah, they do put away with that because I was thinking that going into it, but she's obviously dead. It's common knowledge. Ford and Hale are there, but we do know Bernard actually questions, has he made, have you made me do this before? To which he says no, and yet he has the flashback of who, earlier we see Elsie being grabbed by a mysterious person. It's definitely Bernard, but then he just simply erases the memory. But this whole scene, I guess it's not uncharacteristic of Ford, but at the same time, I feel like I wouldn't be that sold, and you get the impression that Hale is very much not sold either.
Yeah, not to mention he is all but gloating about it, and then immediately turns it for his own benefit in casting accusations of clumsiness onto QA, and basically says we're going to need to rein them in until we can replace them, and Bernard will be reinstated as head of behavior. So he really orchestrated this pretty fucking nicely.
I know. Then he tails it off with, there's just no sympathy at all for, the fact that maybe Stubbs or maybe Hale like Teresa. It's just this is going to happen. This is the way it's going to happen. With Teresa's sneakiness being brought to light and all. It's just a very tone-deaf approach. And the whole time, Hale just looks pissed, not sad. And I couldn't help but think back to when Teresa and Ford initially met, and he said something along the lines of, or actually no, maybe it was during the death scene. At some point in the show, he says the board likes to to challenge me every now and then, but he makes it sound like it's a game and as if they know his power. That
was absolutely during the death scene last episode.
So then to have Hale I don't know, like obviously almost know what's going on, but maybe not the extent of it. I don't know. I'm interested to see how that develops.
And I mean, she can't just go around casting accusations without any evidence. So regardless of what she's thinking right here, it doesn't matter. She has to react the way that she does. She's basically been checkmated. And if she is feeling that way, then live to fight another day. But so Ford and Bernard then meet in the basement again. And Ford's kind of asking him what he feels. And they're just having kind of the conversation where Bernard is wondering what's the difference between me and you, you know, between like my pain and yours. And Ford says that is the very question that drove Arnold mad, which if the BernArnold theory is correct, would add an extra little layer of intrigue to that he's managed to pick up so many of his characteristics, even the ones that Ford didn't directly program into him.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this whole plot line kind of had me, and obviously I could be wrong, had me throwing the BernArnold theory out of the window. Because there's
really?
Yeah, I mean, so is the theory that Arnold secretly is hiding within Bernard with no knowledge of Ford? If he's infiltrated him with code,
no.
I can buy.
That's not the theory. The theory is that it is simply like a mannequin version of him. And if anything, people are suggesting maybe that that if Arnold's like consciousness or anything like that wasn't anybody, that it would be Dolores or possibly Maeve. That's what people are theorizing, but
sure.
The BernArnold theory is more based off of him making like a physical representation, and then obviously a lot of similarities in the talent with programming and all that other stuff.
So to me, why wouldn't Ford, if he's giving all the exposition, he's answering all the questions, he's telling Bernard straight out everything, why wouldn't he just say Arnold as a human was too unpredictable? Because he's basically said that. I had to deal with Arnold as well. Same reason. Why wouldn't you say, so instead I basically took his consciousness and the traits of him that I thought were important and put him and made you?
Because in episode 8, that's not an interesting reveal. Like, they're going to want to do it with a little bit more drama and flair than that. I mean, yes, if this was an actual interaction between two real people, this would probably be the moment while all the chips are kind of on the table anyway. But, I mean, we've seen he's already lying to him anyway. He lied about the have you had me kill anybody else before, at the very least based on what we know from the tiny little flashback of him strangling Elsie. So I mean, we already know he's not being totally upfront with them.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, I don't know I guess at this point, I can't see anything it would add to this plot or twist.
Okay. Right.
I would be disappointed at this point if he was Arnold.
But again, he's not Arnold. He's just like a manifestation of him without any of like the stuff residing in him, of the consciousness or any of that, you know?
Yeah, if he was an intentional like analog of Arnold at this point, I would be disappointed, especially if all the voices, that Arnold is obviously, all these bots that are talking to Arnold, especially if that was still Bernard. Now, if it goes a different direction, I don't
think that is Bernard. When he was saying it sounded like Bernard's voice. Oh, you're saying if it is Arnold?
Yeah, sorry, Arnold. What I'm trying to say is if these are two separate things going on, like this is kind of the distilled consciousness of Arnold inside of Bernard meant to be as Ford, and then there's this separate like long game in the code that Arnold implanted before he was off that's also manifesting. That would be something I would be okay with.
I think that is kind of what the theory is, right?
Not that I was aware of. I thought the idea was that Arnold was manifesting Bernard.
No, just Ford created basically a Bernard or an Arnold replica sort of thing. Not that Arnold is not at all speaking to him, it doesn't seem like. Like, he's not coming to him because he didn't create him. He didn't program Bernard. So Bernard, if he is like an Arnold sort of, if he's made in his likeness, he doesn't bear any of the soul or the message or anything like that of him because he wasn't programmed by Arnold like all these earlier bots like Dolores and Maeve and even Teddy were.
Gotcha. So you're just saying that those other bots just have something, these first gen bots just have something in them, like, time delay that was supposed to go off. Call to arms from Arnold is like a last fuck you to Ford before he obviously killed him.
Yes, I mean that to me is like the boiled down version of what I'm saying. Okay, so let's move forward a little bit because we don't want to get stuck in a loop, which is exactly what Ford says right here about humans. He says we're stuck in our loops as tightly, if not more tightly, than you are, which feels true. I mean, my life is definitely pretty heavily based on routine, so I thought that was kind of an interesting little thing. I mean, he's basically acknowledging that there isn't much of a difference.
Yeah, I mean, he's saying, he doesn't actually believe there's any real version of consciousness, which, back to the BernArnold stuff, I think is actually interesting because if say they do tie together and Arnold really is there playing both sides of the coin within one body without Ford knowing the whole time, it's almost like a giant fuck you, because that would almost, as these robots maybe actually become conscious and self-aware and go through these things, it actually might kind of disprove Ford's thesis. But ultimately he's saying, yeah, everyone's in a rat race. He almost implies the only person really living is himself because he's able to control all these things.
And because he's a fucking megalomaniac.
Yeah, that as well.
Okay, so we move away then from Ford's part of this, but Bernard's still in it. He meets up with Stubbs, and when I say meets up, they run into each other in the hallway at Mesa. And basically Stubbs is like, I'm sorry for what's happened. First off, I'm glad that they put you back in your position. And I know about you and Teresa, so I know how difficult this must be. And Bernard very sincerely says, I don't know what you're talking about.
Stubbs?
Yeah. Oh, that's what they'd say if this was shades from Luke Cage.
Yeah.
What you talking about, Stubbs?
So that scene, I think, is only there to let us know that Stubbs now has some frame of suspicion. Yes. Otherwise, who cares? So that's obviously going to play into maybe multiple parties catching on to Ford's nefarious plan.
And can I just say, of all the people, one of the people I least suspect being a robot is Stubbs. To me, that doesn't make a lot of sense. First off, to have the person in control of security to be a host, even for somebody like Ford, I think that is not a good idea. But also, this to me, his reaction to this makes me think that there's a little hint of suspicion here that I don't think we'd be given a glimpse of if they were going to reveal later that he was a host.
I think I'm just going to post on Reddit later that I think Stubbs is Arnold.
God damn you.
I swear I was on, because you're the Reddit whiz, but I was on Reddit for a little bit on Westworld the other day, and I didn't even read it, but it just made me laugh because so much is who's Arnold, and the post just said, Lawrence's daughter is Arnold.
I honestly kind of mentioned that I think that she is one of the bots infused with his stuff because she tells what's-his-face, she gives the man in black the clue about the blood arroyo to continue sending him towards the maze.
Sure, but infused, I feel like there's tons of robots now that are infused with this stuff that are hearing his message. Any one of them that are being talked to by him, wherever or whoever or whatever he is, could, easily be tapped into to give a clue. Yeah,
I personally don't think, when people talk about like BernArnold or any of these things, I don't think any of them are Arnold. I think Arnold is legitimately dead, and this is like his reaching back from beyond the grave sort of thing. Not in like a poltergeist or ghost sort of way, but in like the groundwork that he laid with his code ahead of time.
So you don't think it's a poltergeist in the fiber optics?
Nice. TM, motherfucker.
Yeah, TM, motherfucker.
Okay, so let's... Poor little Lee Sizemore here thinks he's actually been given like a big old, I don't know, section of this narrative that Ford has going that he gets to control. Like, he thinks that he actually is putting together Wyatt right here. And Hale is basically like, oh, you silly boy.
Yeah, she's like, bitch, that ain't Wyatt.
Yeah.
Because, he thinks it's like the big villain and whatever, Ford's plan is. And she's like, yeah, no, that's Wyatt. This definitely isn't him. I also just, as I see his name on paper, Lee Sizemore, I feel like I don't know. I feel like he has a tiny penis.
Maybe. I mean, that is the one flaccid penis we did not see when he was urinating on the control center there at Mesa.
Yeah. So anyway, she's like, "Look, stop your work. It's stupid. Let's go down to cold storage because I need you to do some shit that Teresa was doing for me." And,
oh my God, you were in heaven in this next scene.
I was in heaven, as if there's not an episode on record that people can listen to that has you talking for 20 straight minutes about a giant black penis.
First off, play back the audio, bitch.
We don't have time. These already run like hour plus.
I was glad to see that they put the chubby one back in there, that we got to see him. He's my favorite of all. My brother-in-law was over and he was really excited for the fat robot to be stuck there naked in the thing too. And he actually had a great prominent shot right behind Peter Abernathy, which I thought was really cool because after that first episode, his acting in it was one of like the main things that like totally sold me on the quality of the show, to have a side character like him have such a like just a honestly truly beautiful performance. Sure. And so the fact that they're bringing him back out of retirement, ooh, that makes me really excited. So she wants him to write a story and give him a personality that will get him out of the park, I guess. And so that's kind of where we part with this plot line.
Yeah, but she basically says, keep it simple, stupid. She says, brevity is the soul of wit. I think it's also saying, like, you don't have much talent, so just make it work.
Rude.
Right?
Poor Sizemore. I mean,
he is
honestly,
the one character that I completely have no use for and doesn't add anything to the show.
He is absolutely my least favorite character. Like, there are moments with Sylvester where I'm like, oh, God. But definitely Lee Sizemore is my... I would donate all that time and honestly have the show be shorter rather than have him be in it. But it would be way better if we got more forward lines or MIB or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, allocate it anywhere other than the next plot line, which is William and Dolores.
Ooh, your favorite. Okay, so they're riding next to a river. They get off their horses, bunch of corpses. Ooh, that almost rhymed. And one of the little guys is still alive, and he wants water, so Dolores goes to get that. William seems to have some hesitancy here, like helping this guy is a waste of time, especially since he was in the party that was out to kill them.
Right, yeah, because aren't these Confederados or something?
Yeah, I think so. That was how I took it. Now,
yeah, so I thought it was just like, these are the bad guy, and now that he's kind of fully immersed video game, like kind of having fun, it's, I don't know, the moral quandary's kind of gone. Just like, why would we keep him alive? They might kill us.
Did you take it to be an intimation that he had smothered the guy when she came back and he was dead, based off of just the little subtle facial cues that he had indicated before she walked away?
Not necessarily. I mean, I definitely took it that he wasn't trying to help or concerned to make it better. Okay,
and maybe we'll never find out. To me, that was my thought right away, was that he put his hand over his mouth and gave him a peaceful send-off into the great beyond.
Yeah, so... but then this is where they kind of find out that Logan is after them, which, I mean, isn't surprising. He's a guest, so I guess we knew he wouldn't die, even though he left him in that situation.
Yeah, and so William and Dolores, they keep walking, and she stops and says, we're here, I'm home, and she starts running towards this town. He's a little behind her, and then we have a very interesting little, well, obviously not for you, but I thought very interesting little flashback where she's transported back in time, walking into the town. Like, we know it's back in time because she's back in her fancy dress and everything. Mm-hmm. And she sees Tallulah Riley's character.
She's seen 3 times this episode. And I saw her, and I was like, I think that's the woman from the very first episode. I didn't look it up. And Julia was like, she looks kind of familiar. But then I was like, well, that's definitely her again.
The one who greeted William.
Exactly. And I looked it up after, but then I was like, well, and that's her again. So it was, even though I wasn't sure then, I was like, she's still here. She's the one
who liked our tweet. No big deal.
Yeah, pretty fucking sweet. I think she has a new novel out or something. So
that's Elon Musk's ex-wife, by the way.
I was just about to let her be her own woman. I was gonna say, this is Tallulah Riley, who now has 4 roles in Westworld and is a novelist and doesn't need to be known as Elon Musk's ex-wife. Anyway.
So Maeve is dancing. Armistice is too. Who can't tell if she's a terrible dancer and that person that's kind of like in a lab coat. Like, is that somebody from Mesa kind of teaching them how to do their dance? Because the person in the white coat sort of thing, it didn't look totally. Yeah, it looked pretty clinical.
It did look pretty clinical. I really enjoy this show. I do feel like it could do a little more with the humor sometimes, because there is just so much to digest. A lot of it is heavy, just from like a moral and ethical standpoint, what's going on. So I felt this was a missed opportunity. They could have had maybe them doing like the whip and the nene.
Or like the Harlem Shake or something like that.
Yeah, that would be really funny if they all just, Harlem
well, because
Shake.
we already a couple of scenes ago in Cold Storage saw them doing the mannequin challenge. Ew.
Ew. Or if they just did like, I don't know, they could do a zombie storyline for the Wild West and do like the thriller.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like that. But so we see Arnold, well, the person you think is Arnold, El Lazo's daughter, runs up and asks if she found what she was looking for. And all of a sudden, a gunshot rings out. Suddenly, Dolores is surrounded by dead bodies. And then she sees herself with a gun to her head. And then all of a sudden, she's snapped back to reality. Oh, there goes Rabbity. No, you've never heard that song?
Maybe.
Come on, Mom Spaghetti?
Mom Spaghetti is the name of the song?
No, it's the "You better lose yourself in the music the moment you hold it." But one of his lines is "Mom Spaghetti," and that's just a funny line.
The only like edible hip hop line I can remember is and I'm gonna butcher it, but you like it like a fat kid likes cake from 50 Cent.
I've never heard that before.
It was like his one hit, which I couldn't recite at this point.
Oh, the in the club?
Yeah, is that it? Meet me in the club, it's going down?
Nope. That is not the... Man, you were like the anti-hip hop over there.
I just don't like the mainstream hip hop. I like the really underground stuff.
Like Del the Funky Homo Sapien?
I love me some Del the Funky Homo Sapien. The year 3000.
Good on you.
Yeah.
Okay, so she snaps back to reality for real. And she says, where are we? When are we? Which, by the way, as a listener or a watcher of this show, I feel like all of us at this point are asking that question all the time. Like,
I know.
When are we? Is this now? Am I going mad? Like, are you real?
Yeah.
And he's like, chill out, you dumb bitch. Like, of course this is real.
He's like, am I real? I just kind of like, I don't know, am in love with you and not my real human wife, and you're asking me if I'm real?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I guess there's not a whole lot to this except that a gang of riders end up coming up, and of course one of them is Logan. He's like, man, are you two fucked?
Thanks, Negan.
Yeah, he did sound a little bit, or maybe that was just the way that
I think it's the way you
thought
just said it.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
he sounded like just like, oh man, you guys are fucked because I'm a rich douche.
He's like, in case you didn't catch that, William, I just took my dick out and slid it down your throat, and you thanked me for it.
Yeah. Oh man, I was about to try to do a William, you two are fucked. I was like, how would you do a choral
Watch
accent
out, you're about to
William?
step on a coral snake.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. To which everyone would be like, well, those aren't poisonous. Who's ever been afraid of a coral snake? No, I pronounced that right.
Did you, by the way, on my second viewing of the show, I noticed that he had this huge pin on his coat. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, God, that sounds really familiar. So before, I'd already put out all my notes and basically just going through to see what people were saying on Reddit. And somebody else pointed out the pin and said it looks exactly like the Hand of the King pin from Game of Thrones. Kingpin, not the Kingpin, but the pin that the Hand of the King wears in Game of the Throne.
Well, that would support my theory that I've said early on.
Crossover.
Yeah, it's that medieval world, which we haven't been introduced in, is just
God.
Westeros.
Yeah, HBO is trying to break the internet. George R.R. Martin did come out and say, like, there was a story about him actually having lunch with Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy and bringing it up, and they didn't know whether or not he was serious or something like that. Like, there was an actual story about that. Or maybe I got it from a Facebook meme written by a Macedonian teen. I don't know.
That's probably more likely. But no, I could actually see, and I'm not saying this is actually what they're going to do, but if you think about the fact that this is going to be on for 5 more years, at least, right? They have 5 seasons planned out. Game of Thrones has been on for a super long time, and they're basically past the books. I could see there being with the success of Game of Thrones, I could see there being a demand to do the show by the book if he ever finishes them. And so this would be their way out. Like, well, no, it was just a simulation of Westeros that really stopped at season 5, and now we're going to actually finish it out with the books.
Oh my God, that would be a pretty big reach, I feel like.
I love it past the HBO execs.
I always love the idea of a crossover until I see it executed, and then I pretty much universally fucking hate crossovers.
I'm trying to think of
except Battletoads and Double Dragon. Like, you can't tell me that wasn't awesome.
So to me, I don't know if I'm a big fan of like TV crossovers. Like I think I think the Scooby-Doo and the Batman one as a kid I liked, but
Scooby-Doo and the Harlem Globetrotters I really liked.
Was pretty sweet, which is just weird because it's not like they had a show. It was just Scooby-Doo meets reality.
Yeah.
And then I haven't watched it yet. I do like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but I know they did one with a new girl. I don't know how it was.
It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, man, because both shows on their own are pretty funny.
It was my least favorite episodes of both shows. Yeah, because they crossed both over on the same... So, like, they showed the same scenes, like, from the opposite perspective in the other shows. Mm-hmm. I thought that they were really weak.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I have this soft spot for crossovers just because it's a pretty big, like, normal thing in comics. But in comics, it's different because, for the most part, like, they're in the same universe. They just normally aren't in each other's stories. So the crossover seems completely and totally like normal.
Well, you like crossovers because you like comic books. And in comic books, they are, generally speaking, able to do it and have this, like, kind of... I don't want to say incestuous sort of relationship with the other characters in the universe, but but that they are able to do it more seamlessly in television shows with established characters and stuff like that. It just feels forced always to me. But speaking of crossovers, can we cross over into our Fire Fan ad real quick?
If I can make one more joke, which is to say that Avengers the movie is essentially a crossover of all the other Marvel movies. So Avengers is our favorite family fuck.
What?
I'm just using your incestuous.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So let's make that the hashtag. This episode.
Oh, cool. Really good note to go out into our fucking really nice, sweet sponsor who comes out and makes sure that we can stay on the air, and we're going to lead into it with the talk about incest. So
you get what
enjoy
you
this
for.
Fire Fan ad.
All right.
What kind of fan are you? Do you scream at the players through your television? What the f*** are you doing? Throw the ball! Come on. Do you predict the plays? Saw that one coming. How does this bag still have a job? Do you want to be buried upside down so the critics can kiss your ass? Then listen up. If you got a burning passion for sports, then the new sporting game app Fire Fan is for you. You get to be in charge of the action, predict the scores, call the plays, all in real time.
Fire Fan.
The Fire Fan app launches on the week of November 21st, and you can get 12 free tokens by using the player rewards code Haley. That's Haley. You can sign up for the app early at our affiliate's website, www.haleyIsAdog.com. That's HaleyIsadog.com. The app is Fire Fan, and the code is HALEY.
And we're back.
Oh yeah, thank you again to FireFan for sponsoring the show for another week. The app comes out, I believe, sometime next week, so if you haven't already gone to the link on there, again, it is www.haleyIsAdog.com. The reason why is because our affiliate set up his own URL that redirects and auto-populates in the fan code sort of thing that basically lets him be the affiliate for the show, and then also kind of shows who it came from. So again, www.haleyIsAdog.com. It's a big help to us. It costs no money to go on there and sign up. You basically are putting in like your email address and stuff. So that being said, are you ready to hop back into this, Mothman?
Oh, I am. I am.
Yeah.
So now we got the Maeve storyline, which is this is an action-packed episode. When I say action, I mean just a lot of cool stuff happened. I thought the Bernard stuff was very exciting, and then this is very exciting, and then the Man in Black stuff is exciting. So much exciting.
Yes, it was a great episode overall. I don't know why Tony the Tiger that.
Yeah.
But I loved the songs in this episode too. Like I actually recognized them without having to look them up. So House of the Rising Sun is playing on the piano right here, and it's a gorgeous translation for the song. So that was perfect. And there is a new Prosty, and it's actually Clementine is her name. So we have a new Clementine Pennyfeather, and Maeve has this look when she's looking at her like I'm getting too old for this shit.
It's a pretty good Lethal Weapon impersonation.
Thanks, man.
I don't remember his actual name. It's Danny Glover, but I don't remember his character's name.
Yeah, Danny Glover.
Oh, weird. Played himself. I didn't know it was a biopic.
All of a sudden, everything starts slowing down.
It does, and then she has that reverie with her and her daughter, which is it a few times in this episode for certain reasons, and then she wakes up with Lutz and Sylvester. Yes,
and I'm a little confused. Why is he Felix sometimes and Lutz other times? Is his name like Felix Lutz?
His name is Felix Lutz, and Sylvester I don't think almost ever calls him Felix anymore. Like Lutz I think is his nickname.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I was wondering about that, but yeah, that makes sense. So she's kind of asking what's going on with the reveries, and Lutz explains that humans remember things imperfectly, which obviously is very true. But with the host, they recall them like as if they are literally being transported back to it, like it is a perfectly preserved memory for them.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's. For us, like, I mean, there's been plenty of studies and things just about memory, and like first person, like eyewitnesses are the most unreliable form of evidence and all this stuff. So for these bots, I mean, it's literally like just putting on an episode of a TV show that aired 10 years ago. Like, it didn't change, yet. I mean, that's actually a good example. Have you ever watched a show that you hadn't watched in 10 years? You kind of remember it different.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. When I watch, do you remember David the Gnome by chance?
Not at all. Oh, wait, I do. It was on with Little Bear.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So it's a Nick Jr. show, which, you imagine pretty wholesome. Have you, as an adult, gone back and watched the series finale of that show?
No.
It is fucked up. Okay, so David the Gnome and his wife decide that their time has come. Death. That is what's happening. Like, their time has come. So they have this tearful goodbye with all their friends. And so they go riding off with their fox to literally, not even joking, meet their maker, basically. So they're on like this Allah Akbar fucking suicide mission. They ride the fox till they get to the mountain, and then they tell him to, they have this tearful goodbye. The fox is just sobbing his fucking eyes out. Everybody's crying. And they also have their friend with them, who I guess is kind of like a side character. And they leave the fox behind and walk up. He kind of follows them, so you end up kind of watching it from the fox's perspective. And David the Gnome and his wife go up to the top. They hold hands, and then they turn into trees. And as it's happening, and as the other gnome starts to do it, he's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want that. It's like he's literally like crying and begging, and the fox is sobbing fucking tears, and they turn into trees. And that's the end of the entire series.
Oh my goodness. So, I mean, I didn't have a story like that, but even just watching a show that's 10 years old, and the jokes and the acting and the stuff you like about it are identical, even just saying like, man, I remember, like, I don't know, just Sign of the Times, like to you it was HD because that's what stuff looks like now. And
Yeah,
so then you
true.
watch it and it's just kind of blurry. I will say, and I don't know if we talked about this on air, but I have been rewatching Ren and Stimpy, which was always known for not being appropriate for kids, but even just watching it and realizing that they're like, and not that this isn't okay for kids, but just how progressive cartoons were in the 90s wasn't very progressive. They are basically a gay couple, which I'm fine by. But then so many jokes are very sexual. And they just like get away with it because, you know, the boogers and fart jokes overpower it, and that's what the kids chuckle at.
Don't whiz on the electric fence.
Oh, and that is one of my, like, even now, one of my favorite things is the music in that show.
It's so good. But okay, bringing it back in, tightening the reins so this isn't a fucking 6-hour episode that we're doing.
Okay, all right.
My fault as much as yours, by the way. So Maeve decides she doesn't want to know about any of this past shit. She doesn't want to know why she was reassigned because that's all part of their story to keep her in there. She's getting out. Sylvester's like, fine, please go. And she's like, nice try, you little fucking douchebag. I know I've got an explosive charge in my spine if I leave. And
he's
Felix
just like, fuck.
Yeah, damn it. And so Lutz says, you need a whole army to get out of here. And she says, you're goddamn right.
At which point, Fox broke like all sorts of nervous sweats because all he could think about was the giant penis army.
Oh God, that is. I think that's kind of what the insinuation is. So, like at the end of this episode, you know how? She gets apprehended at the end of this episode. Part of me wonders if she's gonna go and she's gonna be retired and she's gonna be sent down to cold storage, and that's her army.
And then the
White Walkers.
The other part of me thinks, is she going to basically help Hale's plan because she's gonna smuggle out that robot with the story?
Yeah, I don't know. It does seem like there's a little bit of a corresponding interest there. Of course, I would like to think that the Delos board does not want to have some hyper self-realized robot getting out into the real world.
No, I think it's like she's hyper realized. All these other things are her minions, but then there's the one thing they wanted that does get out, you know?
So like instead of collateral damage, it's like collateral good stuff?
Yeah, it's the silver lining, but the bad stuff is so much worse. And, you know, obviously this remains to be seen, but we talked early on. It's like, I wonder if this is strictly going to be a show that's just in the parks, which is fine. But if this plot comes out, then, I mean, we're going to be dealing with a show where, like, these are just robots wreaking havoc on the real world.
Yeah.
Very different.
I hope not, because, man, Jurassic Park 3 was a real piece of shit.
But it had Philliam H. Muffman in it.
Who's Philliam H. Muffman? Did you just have a stroke when you said that name?
No, it is one of my favorite, like, ongoing things from Colbert, where, like, Brad and Jennifer were Benifer, and, you know, all these stupid names, and William H.
Macy and Philip Seymour Hoffman?
No, and his wife, something Huffman.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
That was like on, I don't know, she's in movies and stuff.
I have no idea who his wife is.
You don't know his wife? Well,
I mean, not under what you're telling me right now, unless her name is Muffman.
Felicity Huffman.
Okay, I know who that is.
So William H. I can't even say both their names. William H. Macy and Felicity Huffman make Philliam H. Muffman.
That's pretty good.
Instead of Benifer.
Anyway. That's pretty funny. Okay, so Maeve and Lutz are in there, and she's on their little tablet fucking around, and Sly comes in, and he's like, there is an investigation going on upstairs, which we know is Teresa. You need to go back to playing dumb right now. And Maeve now seems to, like, really becoming self-aware. Like, she gets the code, and she wants them to make these complex changes, which they'll need to put her out for. And so she's going to write them all down. And Sylvester walks outside and is like, okay, if we go up there, we fucking wipe her out, we hit her in the head with the rock, we pretend like she came in this way, like, we're done doing this. And you can tell even right then, especially on a rewatch, like, that Lutz is very conflicted about this. Like, he is really truly assigning her these true emotions. Sure. I don't know if he loves her necessarily, but he definitely, at the very least, loves her in the way that, like, like, people love animals or, other living beings.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously has some sort of feelings for her. He's conflicted. He's never shown any sort of a affection towards Sylvester. So, regardless of his feelings of her, I think he definitely has a disproportionate dislike for Sylvester. So you never at any point, at least in my mind, thought that she was actually going to get shut down.
Yes, and so Lutz and the three of them, they go upstairs, and Lutz shuts her down as she instructed, and right before she looks at Sylvester and she says, "Good luck," and then she gets shut down, but is still just like staring at him, which is like so ominous. Yeah. It was really cool, and he's like, "Okay, let's break this bitch and get out of here," and so they're talking about her like as if she is completely out, and Sly is, basically saying this is the only way that this could happen. And at this point, Maeve sits up, and she's like, basically talks about how Felix has more empathy than he does. And my favorite part is, even when I was a 14, you were never a match for me.
Yeah, and then she just basically grabs this scalpel. She's like, we've been tinkering with the core code, slices his neck. And I was expecting more spurts of blood, like just spray. But in this scene at first, I was
Tarantino like, guest directed this episode.
Yeah, but also just your neck has a major artery. And like every time you're like, they overdo it in Kill Bill, but it's factual. If you hit a major artery and it's just open, the moment every time your heart beats, it just like pulses and squirts. Like there's a lot of pressure there. But so I didn't actually, at first I was like, that's kind of dumb that she slices.
Oh, but then when he cauterizes it, you realize that it was intentional.
Yeah, and then you're like, well, no, this is a machine that's obviously like as precise as possible. She just wants him to know, I don't have anything preventing me from hurting you. I missed the artery, and you're alive because of me.
Now it's time to recruit the army. Now, I want to have just a very quick conversation with you about, because we've talked about it on this show. People on the internet talk about it all the time. I even saw that the guy who plays Sylvester was asked about it in an AMA on Reddit.
Oh, that Sylvester is actually Arnold?
Yeah, exactly. So what do you think about the fact that they keep going along with all this stuff? Now, I think I can buy the justification, but it is one of the parts of the show that is kind of hardest to swallow. The fact that they have so many opportunities where they could have got stop this shit. Because obviously this is, the whole time they realize how fucking stupid and dangerous and crazy it is. So what do you think about that?
So for me, one, Sylvester does want to stop it. And the only reason he doesn't is basically the blackmail that she has on him. And
but while she's out, couldn't they do something about that?
Well, I'm just talking about his justifications. I don't think Felix has ever wanted to stop her. I think Felix always has been a tinkerer. He's fascinated. He would like a higher position. Like, he's just fascinated by this. It's why he was hiding property, the bird in there, and trying to program it. So they've implanted that as like his character motivation the whole time. And so I think it's just they're at odds. Like, he's being blackmailed. He's trying to convince Felix. Felix obviously isn't on board with it. And once again, we don't know what the outside world is like, the state of affairs, like, who knows what the world actually is like too. So in his mind, like, I hate this job. I want to be empowered. I only see a better version of the world by letting this perfect version of man that's, more, capable and moral possibly than us, leaving with an army of, to me, the evolved state of man. Like, to me, this is the evolution of what we are as a species. Let's let it loose.
Okay, so that is a really, really complex version of it. To me, that is true. I think that he is just fascinated, and for Sylvester, I think that the thing is like you said, he's being blackmailed. But even the actor in the AMA on Reddit explained it that he looks at it as like he just made a series of smaller decisions, like to put like because he kept thinking this situation will kind of resolve itself, and before he knew it, it had spiraled beyond his control. And so that kind of put it into perspective of like, it's so easy to say what you would do from the outside, but from him, It's like, she had this information. He's a little scared of what she's capable of. And I think that he just thought like, okay, if I just go along with these little things, we'll put her back out there, and then she's Delos's problem, and we don't have to deal with that shit.
Sure. Yeah. But to me, one of the more interesting things in general about AI is just all the people currently talking about it and what it will do or won't do, whether they think it's like the end of the world or what. There's plenty of people that kind of continue to speculate that it's just like the evolution of man.
Yes. Okay. So let's put that scene behind and get to Maeve, and when she is basically she's back in Westworld, and the Man in Black is kind of narrating over this scene a little bit because we're jumping around here a little bit, but
sure.
She is talking to Clementine. She's like, okay, this house is yours, and then she flashes back to when the Man in Black stabbed her and shot her daughter, basically at this point she just kind of like snaps out of it, and then in the middle of the street she cuts Clem's throat, and everybody in town just stops. Like, that does not seem scripted. What the fuck is happening?
No.
And so like sheriffs and marshals and everybody start coming towards her, and I love what she does here because she goes, and on the way out she'd already she has that moment where who is it? Oh, Hector comes into town, and she, like, just to kind of test, like, flex her muscles here, she tells the sheriff that, everything's okay or whatever. And so he just kind of walks off, tips his hat to Armistice, and then Armistice shoots him in the back.
Yeah.
You're talking about one of a few little funny parts. Like, that was very funny. And then she tells the two sheriffs to practice their quick draw on each other or something. But so yeah, she tells some guy in the crowd, like, start firing at them, and then she runs back to her house, and at this point Stubbs is in the control room being told about it, and he's like, okay, let's get her out of there. And then Maeve flashes back to her daughter dying in the dirt, and then what did you think about the scene where she remembers panicking, like, in the middle of Mesa with Ford and Bernard?
I thought it was just interesting that they couldn't turn her off.
Yes, and even when it ends, like, he thinks that, okay, well, an old trick from an old friend, and he plays the music. Even that doesn't do it. She still stabs herself in the neck.
Yeah, so that whole thing, like, I don't know, maybe it's just showing how early on, for whatever reason, I don't know what's unique about Maeve, but how she was going to be the one that really did this and, like, became sentient.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it is that made her that way. Is it just that Arnold or whoever was talking to her earlier? But they're kind of painting a picture that there's something unique about her from the start.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen that Arnold's code is infused in some of them, and Dolores is awakening them. And actually, Dolores awakens Maeve. But yeah, there is definitely something different to her. And I mean, maybe honestly, it's just the attributes, and especially now, but with everything turned up. But okay, do you want to go ahead and hop into the final plot line, which is the Man in Black and Teddy?
I do. I will just say that it's now Bernard, Maeve, and Dolores that have all said, I don't want to get rid of the pain. It's all I have left. Yes. Yep. That is a line that we've now heard several times over. Which, to our earlier point about Arnold this, Arnold that, it's almost starting to feel like I am Spartacus. Yeah. I am Arnold. I am Arnold. Like, anyway, we'll see. Or what happens. I am Negan. I know. I was thinking of that too. I am Negan. So yeah. So okay. So Man in Black and Teddy are riding, and Man in Black's given Teddy this whole thing. We've heard him talk about it a little bit before about how the game's rigged and you're the loser. And then Teddy has just a very quick flashback of him telling him this exact same thing at Dolores' ranch in episode 1. But this isn't like the huge reveal. That comes later. But we see Tallulah Riley, who is... What are all the nice things you said about her other than she's Elon Musk's ex-wife? She has 4 roles in Westworld, and she has a novel out. Nice job. Yeah. And
Okay.
she's, attractive.
Okay, sure. So Man in Black actually remembers her, which I thought was interesting. It certainly doesn't prove the whole William equals Man in Black thing, but we did see she was literally the first host that William ever met. So if William is the Man in Black, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Can I disprove that he's Man in Black?
Oh, yeah, let's hear it.
Yeah. Ed Harris doesn't have a mole on his cheek.
Well, I don't know that would necessarily constitute it, but that is interesting.
I mean, I think if, this is a show that obviously prides itself on having people guess, and I don't know if they figured they would get the same response that they did as far as like all these theories and stuff, but and we've talked about this, like, they don't have to look identical. Like, how many movies have very different looking actors, be the young and the old version? That's an oversight to me, but at the same time, if they put a prosthetic mole in the same place on Ed Harris's face, everyone would get it immediately.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if they were trying to be that true and like, well, they look a little different. Yeah. If they did it, everyone would be like, well, he doesn't really have that mole. Sorry, we guessed it first episode. So
yeah,
I guess I didn't disprove it. All right.
But I mean, like, the Man in Black has said before, like, I've been coming here for 30 years. And in this episode, he says, I've been married for 30 years. And we know that there was a major incident at the park 30 years ago. And William, is always talking about how he has a girl waiting for him that he's going to get married as soon as he leaves. So if this is a multiple timeline thing, it stands to reason that is 30 years ago. And he's about to get married. Man in Black's been married for 30 years. Just saying, there are certainly things, the more that we get into it, the more it is kind of lined up a little bit. Unless it's just a great bit of misdirection.
Yeah, it might be a
which
giant
is possible.
red herring. Yeah.
Okay, so the Man in Black ends up seeing this huge minotaur charging at him with the axe. Thanks for ruining that in my little intro, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
So they shoot at the guy a bunch of times. Nothing happens. The Man in Black chokes him down. What did you think about this fight? Did you like the fight?
I mean, it was all right. It's weird to now see, Man in Black and like kind of go from badass to
struggling a little bit because the difficulty's been turned up.
Exactly, but they do a good job of showing it. Like, the idea is that he's now playing Arnold's game, or getting closer to it, where the stakes are real. So he is on expert mode, and he's not used to it. And luckily, Teddy had an axe to hit him in the back. Now, I don't know that he's at a point where he could actually die, so who knows what would happen, but you're starting to get a feel for where things are headed, and that
yes.
It's not all misdirection. Things are definitely the stakes are definitely higher where he's going. It's not just something he's been guessing about and like, this is what I've determined in 30 years. Like, it's a fact at this point. There's boss fights now, and there's a whole lot more of these guys out there, which we see.
Yeah, so at some point during this, Teddy flashes back and remembers the Man in Black dragging Dolores into the barn, which is that line that you wrote from our song. Best hope you're not Dolores when he enters the barn, right?
I didn't write that line.
So the Man in Black is tied up, and we have Tallulah and Teddy are just chilling around the campfire, and Teddy roughs him up a little bit. And what did you think about this, about all these reveals right here? About, him talking about he's a god, a titan of industry, a philanthropist, a family man, beautiful wife, beautiful daughter. I'm the good guy, Teddy. And he's not wearing his black hat when he says it.
Yeah, it's true. It's not, I don't, grand reveal. I mean, we actually have talked about him basically being a, Bill Gates or Elon Musk type character. Because those other guests recognize him in the camp with Armistice. So we knew he was someone big. We didn't know exactly who. We still don't. But for him to say, he obviously knows the status he has in the real world. Married to a beautiful wife, beautiful daughter. He literally just is like, I know I've been mysterious for 8 episodes, but let me just give you some exposition. And yeah, gives you everything. Like, you now have the 30-year time frame. Everything except his name. Of the marriage. Yeah, everything except his name. His wife, basically killed herself with pills, or at least that's how adamant his daughter is at the funeral. And it's interesting because he goes into and talks about the fact that, I don't know what maybe drove his wife away was his experiences here and the fact that like she saw this darker side and it was just a wall to hide it. And I don't know, it's, I guess, deep, but at the same time, I'm like, I didn't love it.
Okay, I loved it. I thought it was really good. Where my mind went with it was, what if the thing that part of the reason why he is where he is, and why he's rose to the top, and why maybe part of the reason why his wife is like kind of terrified of him and stuff like that. What if he ends up as William, if that is a true theory? What if he ends up killing? What if William ends up killing Logan, and it's kind of covered up a little bit or whatever, and then so it allows him to kind of rise to the top of the company? And we know that he has good sides to him, so he would want to do like the philanthropy type stuff. But what if his wife kind of like, is sort of wondering if that's what happened, or has her suspicions, and like that's part of, and it's part of the reason why he ends up going bad.
So I don't know. You probably said good stuff. I can't pretend I heard it. I was going to. I was like, it's going to be. This is important.
I guess just keep it in. I mean, whatever shit happens. We're on Skype and it cut out.
Okay, yeah. So if your idea is that he actually does kill Logan, he covers it up, then I think this will be more interesting. I don't know. I think I'm intrigued, but I'm also like the idea. I think there's the line in there about, no matter how many good deeds and, all this other stuff to protect the world for myself. Like I came back here to find my true self. Like if he really is this philanthropist and does all these different things and this, that, and the other, it seems weird. And he's, seems transparent that he didn't put his wife through this stuff. Like that's why he came here. I don't know, it seems weird that she'd be drawn to that, but like to kill herself. But at the same time, if she did know deep down that he actually did kill Logan and it wasn't just robots, that would make sense. So there's a way that they can tie it together that I'll be truly satisfied. But I don't know.
Okay. Well, let's see. What other good reveals do we have here? Let's see. He ends up like having the flashback to where he decided after his wife died that he was going to do something like to test himself, to like something truly evil to see how it felt. So that's when we get the thing about him trying to kill Maeve, and he says then the fucking damnedest thing happened, and it shows her like slice his throat a little bit. She grabs her daughter, runs outside, falls down in the middle of the maze, and he talks about like, I saw one of them come truly alive, and he's talking about Maeve, and then he's like, that's when the maze revealed itself to me. And I thought that was awesome. It's kind of like it's not a crop sign, because it's not in crops, but it's basically etched into the ground really big out in front of the house.
Yeah, so that's kind of, and I liked how they tied those things together. So the instance where he's essentially just, which if his wife killed herself due to how dark he was, that he then had to test if he's truly evil. And, going by the William theory, he didn't think killing Logan was that evil because Logan was a douche. And
we don't know the situation behind it. Maybe he's like tormented by guilt for years afterwards because of however it goes down. Like, we don't know that. Yeah,
so that's the other thing that I wasn't buying with how evil of a person he was. If only after his wife, who couldn't deal with how dark and disgusting he was, that's when he gets to the point where he's doing something this despicable in a virtual world. But I did like the fact that
he's just haunted by his demons a little bit.
Maybe.
But doesn't go and take it out on that. That doesn't seem like a huge disconnect to me.
Well, I mean, just the fact that he said, I wanted to, after this happened, I wanted to see if I could do something truly evil. He is basically saying that the stuff in the past, he doesn't feel is that way. And this, when he says truly evil, I mean, he's talking about killing robots, so it's also not real humans too. So that doesn't quite line up, but I do just like the idea of it, where he basically tries to push himself to the limit. he doesn't really feel anything.
Doesn't feel a goddamn thing.
No,
but then when he comes back out, he
is.
says, like, you know, but that after the maze revealed itself to me, that's the thing, is that in Ford's game, you can't kill me. You can't even leave a lasting scratch on me. But Arnold's game, it cuts deep. And so, you know, it kind of continues, like, so I left my world for this one. Only the maze matters now. And that's why I'm here. I got to best Wyatt, and then that's what's going to get me to it. And then Tallulah Riley is egging Teddy on to pull out his little gun and to shoot a Man in Black in the head. He can't pull the trigger, which Man in Black seems pretty smarmy about. And so then Tallulah Riley stabs Teddy, and she has been in league with Wyatt all along. God damn it. And then peeps start just coming out of the woodwork, like creepy, shadowy figures, more minotaurs and stuff like that.
Yeah, pretty exciting. He's getting to, this is very video game-esque. Like, more enemies all at once, more menacing enemies, kind of creepy terrain leading up to the ultimate boss fight. Like, it's fucking sweet. Yes,
agreed. So this was a great episode. We've gone pretty long, so let's just go ahead and wrap things up a little bit here. Again, thank you very much to FireFan for sponsoring the show throughout this week, and for everybody listening, thank you very much for tuning in. All my Senegalians out there in Dakar, we really appreciate your patronage of the show, and check us out on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Reddit. Follow us on there, which we try to put up at least a few different things on each of those every day, whether it's theories, episodes, memes that are related to the shows that we like. So it just helps to kind of keep connected with you guys. So, Mothman, unless you got anything else, why don't you tie a bow on this bitch?
We will see you next week, little buddies.